Oh, I don't know why, but sometimes we just need escape. Now the boys have got their boots on and they're dragging us out and far away. It's a fever.
Kia ora, kia ora, kia ora. Welcome to another episode of Tararua Fever. Ki te whakarongo mai koe, ki Tararua Fever. The podcast is anything and everything to do with tramping in the Tararua Ranges. And welcome to episode 14, Fever Dreams of Dundas, called Jerry Tene. I am your host, Jerry, an imposter expert who just loves to yarn about tramping in the Tararua Ranges. And joining me, my regular tramping companion and voice of reason is Kentos. Kia ora hoa. How are you doing today, mate?
Kia ora, brother. I am very well, thank you. Fresh off a long weekend in Golden Bay, which is always good, back in the hometown.
Yeah.
And fairly fresh from back in the hills, which we'll come back to.
Yeah.
But yeah, good to be here. We are late.
Yes, we're very late.
By about a month.
Yeah.
On this episode. So we appreciate the patience and the understanding of those of you who have waited for us.
That's right. We just looked offline and we saw that the last episode we posted was a scroggin on the 9th of March.
Yeah. So I mean, we have been recording, and there is things getting ready to come out. So obviously this episode being one of them, but we also have others ready to rumble. But also part of the delay was that we went tramping together.
We did. I came to Wellington. For like 10 days. This is all part of why we haven't really released anything, because I've been bloody busy. You've been busy. And we just really haven't had a chance to get together and knuckle anything out.
Yeah, and we kind of wanted to incorporate the tramp as well in the episode. So that kind of delayed things a little bit until we got in there and did said tramp.
I think on the last full episode, maybe it was the first episode of the year for Tararua Fever, you and I mentioned that we were kind of planning a tramp.
Yeah.
And we were looking at going up to Dorset Ridge via Mount Maida, and then from Dorset Ridge across the Jumbo and out, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the difficulties of getting in real far and getting out. We didn't go there in the end, did we? We didn't go near there.
No, we didn't. We got on a video call, we had the map up, and we're having a look at that. We were just kind of perusing the map and went a little bit over kind of the other side of the range and started looking at Dundas.
Yeah.
Hedapai, Dundas, Cattle Ridge, back out the Putata Road end. What attracted us there was that neither of us had done Dundas.
No, we haven't done Dundas, no.
Or Cattle Ridge.
Yeah.
So that was a two new hut experience. But also what we quite liked about that is it had a good weather option, which was the loop that I've just talked about. Or it had a wet weather option, which was Putata Road end to Cattle Ridge and back out the same way. So we kind of liked that, whereas the other plan didn't so much. Like, we could have adjusted things, but it just meant we had one road end that we knew we were just going to go to, and we could do a good or a bad option, and because we kind of knew, like, within reason, no matter what the weather was doing, we wanted to go tramping because you'd come up from Christchurch, especially for it.
And that's one of the things, right? You can't pick the weather on the date that you come from a different location to go tramping. We just had to go for it. Yeah.
So we knew that even, again, within reason and safety considerations, but we even knew, like, if it was really wet and windy, if we didn't mind getting wet, we could get to Cattle Ridge with, like, no river crossings, And we got excited about Dundas and Cattle Ridge and getting up in the tops.
We've taken a few voice notes along the way, right? We've got a few audio clips of us in the bush going through what we're going through at the time, and we're going to provide some commentary on the way through.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Should we start from the start? We left Kapiti Coast on the Thursday afternoon.
Yep.
Wow. Yep. Did I pick you up about 4?
Pretty much bang on. Yeah. 4, we were kind of on the road, like 10 past, after we had a chat with Bowie and Amy and kind of did their final little food distribution.
Yep.
So kindly lent us her car because we decided a 4-hour return trip twice for your parents made no sense at all.
My parents were happy to drop us off, but then my dad said, It's about a 4-hour round trip. I wonder if you should just take Mum's car.
We were like,
Thanks,
yeah,
Mum.
definitely we should do that. So we had a really nice, essentially 2-hour drive to the Putata Road end via Palmerston North and the new kind of cutting that they've got there. And it was nice for us just to catch up.
Well, you and I talk a lot every day, but
Yeah.
we really could get into it in a drive. couldn't we?
Yeah. So it was nice, and it was pretty kind of grey and blustery on the west coast. Kind of as we went over to the east side or the kind of Pahiatua kind of area, it was still grey, but it was pretty calm, and it wasn't.
Nice.
It was kind of as we anticipated it to be over there, but it definitely wasn't a bluebird day. But so yeah, we got to road end at
7 o'clock.
Yep, calm and grey, but no rain at that point. That was going to come and introduce itself not too long after that. But yeah, so I hit the trail at about 7:10, kind of sidle along pretty calmly for the first kind of 15-20 minutes along the river there. Which, do you remember the name of that tributary right now? I can't remember off the top of my head.
Do you know what?
Hmm.
That waterway doesn't actually have a name on the top of it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Feel free to message in if you know his name.
I can see the catchment, but
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you kind of 15-20 minutes of just sidling along, kind of a nice little warm-up, couple of swing bridges, which were shredded my new tramping shorts. Within the first 10 minutes, just ripped my shorts open.
At what point did it get dark, Baz? I'm just trying to think.
Pretty soon after that, once we'd hit the nose of the spur, kind of, probably within, I'd say, half an hour, especially under the canopy, and it was a very cloudy day, so it was just pretty dark. So I had my head torch on before we hit the nose of the spur. And then, it was it's just always a bit of a steeper climb that I remember going into Hitapai. And then it started raining fairly consistently.
About halfway up the spur.
I always find it just going up the nose of the spur in the dark a little bit harder.
I quite like it.
Yeah,
Well, the thing is, you can never see where the end is, so you're always thinking that it changes away, and then all of a sudden you might arrive. So
it pops out. Yeah, which kind of happened really, didn't it? Where once you get up that spur, you come across that sign very quickly to where you go left to Roaring Stag or right to Hitapai.
Yeah.
It says 1 hour.
It hoodwinked us, eh? Yeah. We thought, oh God, I don't remember it being that long.
Took us 30 minutes maximum, and that was pretty heavy rain at that point, but lovely. Sidling along the ridge, and the bushes kind of opened out a little bit, and a little bit of a climb right at the end, and then it spits you out at the hut.
Hut was right there, eh?
Yeah, lovely to be in there. We got there at about 9:30ish, I think, 20 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jerry, where are we on this beautiful Thursday evening?
Mate, we're on cloud 9.
Yeah.
We've done it. We're here. We're in it.
Yeah.
I've escaped the flatlands of Christchurch. No, nothing against Christchurch. It's just geographically different. We've driven 2 hours to the Putata Road end.
We have.
And we've walked about 2.5 hours to Hitapai Hut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming to you at 10:20 p.m.
Yep.
We left the road end after a day's work and a 2-hour drive at about 7:10.
It was 7:10, yeah.
And then I realised how unfit I was. So that's fun.
It's a bit of a slog, some of those sections.
It was a bit steeper than I remember.
Yeah.
But we got here, and the rest of the country's under a bit of the rest of North Island is under a bit of a system at the moment. But we've been scanning the forecast for the week, and we felt the Tararuas on the east side particularly had a bit of a window.
A little bit of a window. We're still not sure.
It's still wet.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be fairly wet tonight, bit wet tomorrow, clearing.
We got a bit wet out there on the way up.
Yeah, so the plan A is head up high to Dundas tomorrow, but there is quite a bit of wind forecast in tonight and in the morning, but it's easing off. So we're just going to have to make a judgment call in the morning. But if we feel like that's not a good call, we can turn back and go to Roaring Stag.
Exactly.
And Cattle Ridge, actually. Cattle Ridge, ideally.
Yeah.
Because the wind should have dropped off by tomorrow afternoon.
And I think by Saturday/Sunday, there's a bit more of a better weather window anyway.
Yeah.
So
good call.
Could do it backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're kind of thinking of maybe flipping the route.
Yeah.
Around the wind.
Yeah.
We kept an eye on the forecasts.
Yep.
And we're happy that we just made a call.
Couple of things we want to check out on the way.
Yep.
I was keen to get to the top of Cattle Ridge, maybe hitting the Wainawa Pinnacles, just have a look-see there. Mm-hmm. So that should be quite good. Again, weather depending. Let's see how high the rivers are after this rain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bit of bush bashing.
Absolutely. Yeah, so tomorrow, ideally Dundas, and then Saturday, Dundas to Cattle Ridge.
Yep.
And then Sunday, Cattle Ridge back out to the car.
And they're not hard days, are they, Baz?
No.
5 hours to Dundas, and then I think it's 5 to 7 to
Cattle Ridge.
Cattle Ridge, thereabouts.
And then it'll be, 6, 7-ish maybe from Cattle Ridge to the road end. We pivoted a little bit with dinner, didn't we? So Kent's Cooking Corner, been busy dehydrating a couple of meals, one of which is teriyaki beef stir fry.
Woo!
Yum yum. And then a mince classic passata kind of bolognese for a pasta.
A lot of your homegrown garden ingredients.
A lot of homegrown herbs and tomatoes, and that I think that's going to be yummy.
Yep.
Lots of cheese, spiral pasta, yum. But tonight we didn't get to the hut till 9:30ish.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd actually just have a miso broth with some 2-minute noodles in there, but then we added a couple of handfuls of the teriyaki beef stir fry. Yeah. And we actually ended up with an epic ramen.
Yeah.
It was so good.
I've said this to you before, Kent, but I always eat very well around you, and you were the orchestrator of that one.
So happy with that dinner, my gosh.
Yeah, that was incredible.
And header pie is looking amazing.
Credit to the Greater Wellington Backcountry Network Hut. Network, they've done a great job on the hut.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Last time we were here, it was very ratty. Not a sign of rodents at all.
No.
Clean as.
It's just us.
Just us.
So after our little voice check in Kentos, we were kind of getting a little bit of a idea of what the weather was like. I think you did a weather check-in. I think you got a forecast reading.
We did, yeah.
And it was not looking brilliant, was it?
No, it had got worse than what we originally thought it was going to be, ideally, when we got in there. So it was supposed to have been clearing up that afternoon, but essentially the weather forecast had just gone gales all day. Yeah.
I pulled out the map and I was looking, and I knew I had this inkling because I knew that our plan B was to possibly go to Cattle Ridge and beyond. We knew that we could still get to Dundas if we wanted to. But there's a few, and I think this is good for trampers who might not be especially that experienced, who are thinking about timeframes when they're tramping and how to get out again. The next day, we knew we could get quite easily down to Roaring Stag and up to Cattle Ridge, and then gauging what we wanted to do the next day after that. And knowing that the day after that, we still have to get out. So we knew that we had this option, which we were kind of confident about at the time, of going down from Cattle Ridge and up to Dundas. But looking at timeframes, we knew that it was roughly about 5 to 7 hours from Cattle Ridge to Dundas. Now, I'm always keen to push the boat out. You know this. This is why you're my voice of reason. So I was still quite keen to get to Dundas. But knowing that if we went to Dundas on that Saturday night, we had to think quite carefully about how we could get out in a self-preserving way the next day, wasn't it? And if we had to get from Dundas out to the road end, we knew that we might be a little bit stuck, or we knew that we might just be bloody buggered by the end of that Sunday night, didn't we?
Yeah. And the extreme version of that is that it wasn't just wind as well. There was heavy rain around as well. And so we were also aware of that. I mean, low risk, we probably would have needed a lot of rain because the rivers were running low anyway because it's been dry. But we were aware that there was that river crossing between Cattle Ridge and Dundas. So that kind of factored in as well of if we got down to that and not being able to get across, then we've got that slog back to Cattle Ridge. Or the other version of that, which is probably a bit more extreme, is that we'd get up to Dundas and then not be able to come back the way we came, and then we'd have to go out across the tops, and it was just windy as all weekend. So yeah, essentially what it did mean is we just did have to action our bad weather option.
Unfortunately, but that's life.
Unfortunately, but which essentially meant that we made our way to Cattle Ridge from Hitapai on the Friday.
That's right. And knowing that it was probably too hard to get from Cattle Ridge to Dundas and back to Cattle Ridge again if we had to turn back and come back the way we came, we kind of were at that point where we were resigning ourselves so that it was probably going to be a turnaround at Cattle Ridge, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. I think there was a little element of like, we were just saying to ourselves, day by day, we'll see.
I had a few things that I wanted to check out along the way anyway. That meant that if we didn't get to Dundas, we could possibly go through those. Now, one of those things was a bit of a gander up the Ruamahanga River. But the other one was when you get to the top of Cattle Ridge, there is the next high point, if you keep going up Cattle Ridge, is Pukearoa and then Pukekino. And then you get to, if you keep going, the Wainawa Pinnacles. So I kind of had those as little plan Bs and plan Cs as well. So which didn't kill my vibe at all.
No, and we were just happy to be out there.
I love it when it's raining and terrible.
Yeah, it was good. It's like actually having to get the old cactus raincoat out for a decent workout, which it hasn't, had to do. So that was nice.
The next morning, we had a wander up to Hitapai, or almost to the top of Hitapai.
Almost, yeah. That was our last little we'll just see what it's like up there, just to finally make the decision.
We had to dip the toe in. Yeah. Just a wee morning check-in. What's the plan for today, Baz?
A little warm up to Hitapai. We're not quite going to get to the top. It's 9:30, but we'll go back to Hitapai, grab our packs, go to Roaring Stag for lunch, and make our way to Cattle Ridge.
Yeah. Up here, it's a bit windy, not much visibility at all, and the forecast isn't really said it's going to get any better than this, has it?
Yeah, no, and Sunday's looking windier than it was supposed to be, anticipated to be.
Yeah.
So it doesn't look like we'll get to Dundas potentially. It might be a Cattle Ridge. And then back out, but we'll play it by ear, day by day.
Yeah.
See how we go.
I must say, when we get this high up, my wanderlust does kick in, and I love this, but I think the self-proclaimed risk-averse trampers that we are, it might be foolhardy to take a risk today and try to get across the Dundas if it's not meant to be too good.
No, totally agree.
Damn.
Yeah, but we'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love you.
Hey, Finn. So obviously after a little warm up towards the summit of Hitapai, we just got on track and made our way down to Roaring Stag, which is familiar to us, very mellow.
Took us about 2 hours, eh?
Yeah, it was even less. It was like an hour 40 or something. It was just like a saunter along the ridge, and then you're down onto the nice flats that open up. Down before you get to the hut. So really mellow. Made it there for an early lunch, and we had a decent lunch break, to be honest. But yeah, nice to be back. Good spot.
Oh,
excuse me.
So, we're at Roaring Stag.
We are.
We made good time from Hitapai Hut. We were about 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, I think it was it was slightly less, to be honest.
Yeah. So pretty quick through there.
Nice, easy going. Had a lovely lunch on the deck at Roaring Stag and coffee.
Wraps and a coffee.
Yeah. Classic salami cheese.
Yeah.
Capsicum with some lettuce. Tuna version of that as well.
Yeah.
Nice AeroPress coffee.
Yeah. The Ruamahanga River has some water in it.
Yeah.
Definitely. You can probably hear it in the background here. I was saying to you before, I think if we had to cross it, we just wanted to try pick our spot. But it's definitely doable.
Yeah. A little bit of tan in colour, but not much. It is warming up. The cloud's getting higher. And there's absolutely no wind. down here, obviously, where we are. The clouds aren't moving particularly fast up top. So probably going to be a little bit of a hot, sticky climb up to Kettle Ridge.
Kettle Ridge.
Aiming to be there, 4:35ish?
Yeah, at the latest.
At the latest, but I'm not the fastest at the moment. So we'll aim to stay within that 3-hour guide.
Yeah, I think we'll be right.
I always feel like I'm taking longer than I am in the moment, and then we get there kind of within Kui, but...
We'll just pace ourselves, not to put too much pressure on, but I think we're not too bad.
Yeah, so about 690 metres to climb up to Kettle Ridge.
We thought if we have the energy, we can go for a little push up Kettle Ridge maybe this afternoon, but we'll see how we go. That could be tomorrow's job as well.
Yeah, and then we should have plenty of time, all going well, tomorrow to do some exploring, and then we're thinking maybe we'll see how we go on the weather window of if we do push on, but the wind's not looking great. So if that's not great, we'll come back to a Roaring Stag for the night. Yeah. So it's day by day at the moment, really.
If we accept that we probably can't get to the tops, we can just take our time and no pressure on the trip and all that, eh?
Yeah. All good. Yeah. Okie dokie, well, we'll check in again in Kettle Ridge.
Over and out. Those wraps.
Yeah.
They were delicious.
Yes. So the wraps, 2 wraps each.
Yep. Cup of Joe.
Yeah. Amongst some other snackies as well. We kind of consumed said wraps and then got the itch to get back on the trail. And I think we did that fairly quickly.
There was no one at Roaring Stag, so there's no one to talk to or get distracted by. I'll often get yarning. So we got going pretty quick after that, didn't we? And those wraps sort of felt like they sunk like bricks. I had lead in my legs.
So anyone who's gone from Roaring Stag to Kettle Ridge will know that pretty much immediately you're met by the nose of the spur to get up towards Kettle Ridge. And we had wraps rapidly descending towards our diaphragms. And my gosh, the devil's whispers in my mind up the nose of that spur were just brutal. I just like Jerry can walk up a hill all day. Like me, and I just sweat profusely and just like am not, and I'm not fit at the moment. I'll turn around and look at Jerry and he's just like not even red faced, like just like very supportive and amazingly patient and supportive. But I could see the spirits declining quickly there. I was in a world of like, those wraps nearly came out of me. I was just guzzling water. I was just like, when is this nose of the spur gonna end? It all sounds very dramatic, but it was just like the legs just had just nothing. It was really confronting. And just stopping a bunch. What I did realize on that part of the trail, I was getting a bit caught up on like, it says 2 to 3 hours. Like we'll try and get up there in 2 hours, and that feeling of like when you are walking up, being like, I just kept thinking about how slowly I was going, and I'm so slow. Like this is going to take so much longer. And then we ended up getting up there in about 2 hours and 20 minutes with plenty of stops. And I think that was something that I took away from that, of being like this desire for me at the moment to like push myself and be fast, and I'm actually never quite going as slow as I think I'm going. And that maybe would be a way to just kind of chill out a little bit on the negativity in the mind.
But I think like it's easy to feel like those wraps didn't help, mate. And so I think if you can just slowly keep trudging, stop when you need to, take a breath. Keep the mind clear. I know those devil's whispers were in your ear.
But it felt good to get up there. And to be honest, once you get at the top of the
spur,
the top of the nose of the spur, the bush opens out and it gets a bit interesting, and you can kind of see where you got to go. There's a good 2 or 3 kind of knobs ahead of you to get over to get to the hut. But that was like a night. You got a nice view right down onto the roof of Roaring Stag. Yeah, you can see the river.
You can see your progress.
Yeah, it's nice. It's different. You're not kind of just in that, in that kind of bush covered spur, which is beautiful in its own right. But it's just nice. It's a new perspective, and I think that just like that's a change is as good as a break, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a nice Kettle Ridge, beautiful heart.
Yeah, really nice space, eh?
Like a beautiful vista, kind of there's a
Yeah.
tarn like right as you kind of arrive at Hutt. There's a few tarns around actually up there. So yeah, it was a nice spot. We were confronted with some orange peel.
Oh, we didn't talk about the Tupperware containers halfway up as well.
Yeah. So early in the nose of the spur, we come across 3 medium-sized Tupperware containers. They weren't small.
Yeah.
They weren't large, but they definitely were your classic lunch size Tupperware.
Yeah.
One was like a dairy-based product.
There was mayonnaise or yogurt on yeah.
And then there was either salmon or watermelon.
Not sure. Maybe big chunks of tomato. I don't know.
Yeah, very weird. Like
Going off.
aspect of it was like maybe I was like, oh, is this like trap related or like? But they were like, yeah, in the state that like we just couldn't do anything.
I just feel terrible because like I also try to rationalize them and how they've been left there like that, and I don't want to go too deep into how people can be rubbish.
Yeah,
but we weren't in a position. We had pretty full packs, eh? We weren't really in a position where we could grab them, and so I felt pretty bad walking away from them.
And then the other thing, when we just first got to Kettle Ridge, someone had a lovely citrus on the back step, and just left the peel just right there. Like hadn't even. I mean, you shouldn't throw it into the tussock anyway. You should take it out with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, just left it right there on the back step, which
We
was
did sort that one out. That was no worries.
yeah. And we had a good laugh about who that might have been, and
It's funny looking through the intentions book, trying to figure it out. So we're here at Kettle Ridge.
So we are here at Kettle Ridge, Saturday morning,
Yeah.
9:30.
Yeah. I was going to say, weather deteriorated big time last night.
Yes, yeah. We got to the hut. What took us 2 hours 20 from Roaring Stag. We arrived at 4ish.
Yeah, something
4ish.
Like
It was, steep nose of the spur.
Yeah.
Straight out of Roaring Stag, which got my body going and my inner voice brutalizing myself for my fitness levels. Jerry got me there.
Yeah, trying to gentle encouragement from behind him. Yeah.
And then once we kind of got out of the tree line, it was still largely up, but it was just a bit more of a gentle gradient.
Yeah. I went for a 2-2 up to the top of Kettle Ridge and looking out over that Dundas Range yesterday. It was pretty spectacular. The landscape's fierce, as always. And the tops were in the clouds, and I just think it was a good call. Like, it was never going to get any better than it was, and it wasn't that great already.
No.
It didn't last night. We had a bit of a night of slight sleeplessness. Listen to that rain just smash and lash. The wind as well, just really hitting it hard. Yeah.
But we had a lovely rehydrated bolognese.
So good.
Spiral pasta cheese sitch, which was lovely.
Yeah.
And the home style dehydrate didn't kill us.
No.
Which is great.
We don't have
I was thinking it would be a terrible spot to get food poisoning.
Yeah.
And then this morning we just went up again just above the hut to the kind of, I don't know, ridgeline, I guess, to look again over Dundas, and it's very windy.
It's super windy up there.
So back down to Roaring Stag.
Yep.
Maybe a couple of hours, maybe a bit quicker, but we'll see how we go. Spend the night Roaring Stag.
Yeah.
And then get out early Sunday. Given the change of plan, we thought we may as well just get home earlier and help out with the kids and
go see my darling and oh boy, I've abandoned them. I feel very bad right now.
Same with me. Yeah. So go home and get the washing on and hang out with the kids and the partners and but yeah, good change of plans. Had to pivot a bit. Yeah. But still been great to be out.
Just lovely to be out. Lovely to be on a little bit of the tops here and it's wild.
Yeah, no injuries so far. Well, minor,
I twisted my ankle.
Jerry twisted his ankle and my football thing was a bit niggly yesterday, but we're there.
Yeah, we're all good.
Okay. Ciao. See you.
I think it's mentioned in the voice note, but I did go to the top of the ridge and just look out at the Dundas Range and just had one of those moments by myself where looking out at that range, just fathoming the fierce nature of that terrain. It's just steep and rugged and wild and real tiger country. I love it. I just get the chills when I look at it. It just looks so amazing. I just want to get in amongst it all the time. The tops were in the clouds, so you couldn't actually see the top of the range. It's about 1400 at about Dundas, I think. So but yeah, it gave me that adrenaline rush that just keeps me going for weeks afterwards. But yeah, had a great night in Cattle Ridge. The weather came in, didn't it?
Yeah, the weather came in. I was glad that the hut was strapped down. It was a windy old night, and again did another weather check, and the forecast had just got worse again.
It completely deteriorated that night.
It's completely deteriorated. So that was like answered our, we're going back out the way we came, essentially. And so that triggered our kind of other side excursions that we wanted to do up the Ruamahanga at Roaring Stag. And in the morning, me and you both went up and had a look at where we would have been at Dundas. And as you said, man, the scale of that country, she would have been a big test for me in my current state. It would have been just a slow one step at a time back up from that river. Like it's big. It's a big old face. Like it's just like and there was quite a few funny comments in the intentions book about that mission between Dundas and Cattle Ridge, and there was a few expletives, which was quite a few tears.
I can't believe what people do in terrible weather. And look, maybe we could have pushed the boat out and tried, but the risk-averse part of me just goes, nah, we'll do it next time.
And just the memory, so, it's kind of, some of those descriptions in the intentions book didn't exactly sound like they were fond memories, but they were memories. So, and then in the morning, after that, obviously, we put our packs on and just sauntered down to Roaring Stag, which took like an hour 15 or something. It was easy. So that was nice. We got down to Roaring Stag, and there was a shirtless hunter splitting wood. Yeah. He was a lovely man.
It was fun. It was a good chat.
Yeah.
And the knowledge. He was like the needles on the whatever tree. And I know most trees in there. And I couldn't figure out what he was talking about.
Yeah. Talking about the seasons that he hunts, because the pork tastes better at this time because of these berries, and it's just like, man, you're a legend. So he was in there for deer, which he did get one that evening. But so we got down there early, or like mid-morning.
Yeah, I was looking at the map, and I was wanting to see how far we could get up. Kind of wanted to get to that point in the river where it does, that Ruamahanga catchment comes down at that bend and then works its way straight down. And so it was a nice trip up that river, wasn't it? I had a spill. Do you want to talk about that spill?
Yeah, it was like a 2-footed slide tackle. You just went completely straight. Just
when you walk up a river and you're on the margin of it, and you can just sort of hop the boulder hopping, and one of the boulders was not stable.
Yeah, rolled away underneath you, didn't it?
I went for 6.
Yeah. But no, it was nice. It was warm, actually. It warmed up. It cleared up. We had a bit of blue sky. And beautiful place. We were up there having an explore for a couple of hours.
Baz, at this point, for a bit of context for listeners, I had, we're currently at basically Saturday evening at this point. I had left Wellington on the Wednesday morning. I left my darling and our 6-month boy behind. It was the first time I'd ever sort of gone off on my, separated from them. And basically the whole trip I'd been having feelings of, oh my God, I've abandoned my family. And so having not gone onto the tops was almost a little bit of light relief for us. We knew that we could leave Roaring Stag. If we got out early enough, then I could get back to them and sort of at least give her a little bit of reprieve from our 6-month-old. That was part of the background thinking, wasn't it?
100%. We were kind of like, awesome, happy to be here, but let's boost out in the morning. So we did that after a night on the deck, which it was one of those snoring situations where I was just out on the deck within like 5 minutes. I was just like, I am not here for this. This is just not. I'm like, it hadn't been the best sleeps. It was windy up in Cattle Ridge, so I hadn't had the best sleep there, and it was a snoring experience that had no pattern, but it was loud, and it was right next to me, And yeah,
I try to be pretty tolerant when sharing huts because obviously it takes
for
all
sure.
sorts. And look, I don't think that I'm without my snoring either.
Same.
But I'd put down my book and turn my light out, and you were still going, but you did not last long once that person started, and I followed about 5 minutes later.
Yeah. And it was a really, really good decision because the deck, it was a warm night, it wasn't a wet night, and we just had the river in the background.
Beautiful.
So it was lovely. We slept
Oh,
on the deck and
sleeping under the stars, basically, eh?
yeah.
Yeah. So the next day, I think we were walking by about 7:30, eh?
Yeah. 7:30, and got to the road end about 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of our tramp, isn't it? And it kind of all worked out for the best. Look, Dundas is always going to be there. We can tackle it again, along with a whole lot of other peaks that we haven't quite gotten to. I like that about the Tararua Ranges. There's always more to go back to. That's why I love it and sort of hold it dear. And look, I don't necessarily want to tick everything off because I keep going back.
No, totally.
Yeah.
That's the mission.
All right, Baz. Well, as you know, all of last year we had Al with his segment of Knob of the Week. And, here he is again.
Hello.
G'day, Al.
Kia ora, Jerry.
Kia ora. Kia ora. But this time you come to us, not with Knob of the Week, but a new segment for the year. And like every good anything, it has good evolution to it, right? It keeps the people wanting more through good evolution.
That's right. Yes, Jerry. Yes. Some things don't change though, Jerry. And I've got some troubling news for you from Island Bay. I was just down there the other day looking for a good stick, as I do. Sometimes go and get a good stick from Island Bay. And I was just walking along, and this guy, he spotted me again, same guy. And he comes up and he goes, "Hey, Al, you know that Nick Goodall? You know how he's got so much content for podcasts?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he said, "He's recording everything anyone says all the time. He's always got a recording device on him. So then he can just make a podcast of each day in his life. And he does it all the time. So beware what you're saying to him, Nick, Jerry, from now on.
Right.
And you, Kent.
Absolutely.
Don't talk freely around him because he's recording it all. Apparently, that's just what I heard down Island Bay. So
Well, we threw him under the bus for the last Scroggin, so he's probably going to get some payback.
yeah. So now he's just recording everything in case you say something controversial. So be
Yeah.
careful. Be careful. That's what the guy down Island Bay who sells some mushrooms told me.
Slippery Nick.
Is that the same guy from the last Knob of the Week who saw you in the farm?
Yeah. He's often got something he's
Yeah.
selling, isn't he? Yeah, he's around. I think he's watching Nick while Nick watches us. So he's policing the police, so to speak. So
I see.
I appreciate the warning. I'll definitely keep my wits about me around
yeah,
that.
so be careful around
Yeah.
Nick Goodall. Yeah. Yes. Anyway, I've got a new segment, haven't I?
You do. And I was just
Yes.
one of the reasons for that is because we're kind of running out of knobs.
Yeah, well, you can only make the one same joke so many times before you get. I didn't want to get pigeonholed into being the knob guy,
Yeah.
So you've got to broaden it. So now I'm going to go quite serious from now on. Like, when that character's been on a soap too long and you just can't look at them differently. So I don't want to end up being just a knob joke guy. So here I am, ready to be a serious podcaster for the world.
This is good segment development. Yeah.
Yes. And this one is called What's It All About with Al. How do you know where you're going? Is it something you would not recommend? You don't know what you're doing? How would you what would you I feel more informed. What's it all about? With Al.
Beautiful.
What's it all about with Al? And
Yeah.
I assume this is Tararua Fever, so it's relevant to the Tararua Ranges, Al.
Yeah, it's not just going to be about other things in life. Because I've ventured into the backcountry once with you, Jerry, and then spent the night with you, Kent, in a hut, which are my only two experiences of this world.
Yeah.
So it's still quite mysterious to me in ways. And there was times on the one with you, Jerry, that it was like living in a different world. So I've got some questions, and this first one is going to be how the hell do you know where you're going?
Aha.
Mm.
Is that for when we actually go into the backcountry, the Tararua
Yeah,
backcountry?
yeah, because you seem to know where that path was, and I had no idea which was path and which wasn't path. And you were like looking at these little markers, going, "Oh no, that's for something else, and that's for this." And I honestly, like, there was bits that looked like path that weren't the path, and I'd have been very lost very quickly. So, you two experts, tell me how you don't get lost, because it's not signposted in there. That's all I'm saying.
Good question. Yeah, I think the main thing to keep in mind is largely the color orange of various shapes. It tends to commonly be triangles, orange
Right, yep.
triangles. Path, marked track for walking. They can also be circle tin can lids.
Right. That's
So
handy.
keeping an eye out for those. But to be fair, there'll be long periods of time walking where I haven't actually spotted those, and it is really just, I think, like, you'll see a path of least resistance that has been walked quite a few times, which most commonly keeps you on track, but when there's windfall and things and slips like you encountered in the Tararua.
Yeah, and then some of them vertical bits.
Yeah.
Jerry was just off straight up them, and I thought, well, I'm glad he knows that way is the way, because it looked all the same to me. Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, there'll be like pink marker tape or like marker tape of other different colors kind of crossing the track. And I think general rule of thumb, my interpretation is anyway, that often they're marking like trap lines and things
Pest control.
that aren't trail, so they're there for people to follow, but not necessarily you. And in principle, I think you got like on your tramp, right, going up the valley, Jerry had a rough idea of what side of the river the hut was on, roughly where the track kind of sidled, and just went with there. But what about you, Jerry? Any pearls of wisdom?
I think you've probably nailed a lot of it there, Kentos. But I think
orange is good.
Orange is good.
Pink and yellow. That's not something for me to concern myself with.
Yeah, probably don't go down a possum or a trap line. They're not going to get you that far, and you'll probably just come across a whole lot of carcasses in the end.
Nice.
They're more for dock and administrating that side of things. I think also, like, we do a lot of map gazing, Al. So generally,
so the planning beforehand helps you out on this. It's not just, I'm going to head that way and follow the orange stickers. You've got to sort of know what you're aiming for.
Yeah, and notwithstanding that, we've probably been to most corners of the Tararua Ranges now, so we kind of just know where we're going anyway. But I think it's not always obvious when you're on the right track, and sometimes there's the odd deer trail or something like that may take you off piste. Or
well, that probably leads into my next question, Jerry. How would you what would you do if you suddenly realised you were off piste and you can't and you don't know what you're doing? What's the advice to give to somebody who's got a bit excited, maybe got to follow the wrong path for a bit, and now they're a bit lost? How do you get back to where you need to be? What are you looking for?
My dad always taught me stick to spurs, ridges, and valleys. So if you went off piste, you generally know if you're on a ridge, you know if you're on a spur, or you know if you're in a valley. So even if you couldn't find the track, if you can get to the nearest river,
the nearest one of them,
or sort of like landscape point, geographical point, you can probably get yourself back on track again. I reckon now it's and once you know,
find yourself an orange triangle.
Yeah, and look, none of this is even taking into account now that we've got topo maps on our phones, and it gives you your precise location in reference to the track.
Yeah.
I
mean, I don't know how many amateurs would wander in and first tramp get themselves one of your watches, Jerry. That's probably a bit advanced for an amateur.
No, it's a very good. It's what was it, $7 a year, or maybe even like $3.50 a year app on our phone that we just download.
Oh, wow.
Just on your phone.
Yeah,
that's Topo Maps. The other thing on that, Al, is I've personally never been lost. I've had moments where I'm, holy shit, when did I last see the orange marker, and where's the next orange marker, and I can't see an obvious trail because it hasn't been walked, that frequently. And I always, what I do in that situation is just like stop and take some deep breaths and just look about and look behind, look the way that I've come, often like look back to see where you've been, and then at
So
least
give me something, yeah.
at least you can be like, okay, you can tend to be able to see a marker behind you, so you at least then it just kind of just like stops that panic feeling, which does just come up when you're just like, holy shit. So that would be something that I'd recommend. And then I guess if you are actually turned around and you are lost, I think generally the advice is just to stay put.
Stay put.
You really
100%.
So, like Jerry's, like if you're confident with like ridges and valleys, and you have a good sense of where you are and finding a landmark, then maybe you would think about a self-rescue. But I think generally the advice is just, if you are lost, it's just stop, which is against most of your reactions, because you want
because you could just make it worse.
you want to sort it out. But really, if you are lost but you're only just lost, in theory you're pretty close to where you're supposed to be. So if you stop and people come looking for you, you've left your intentions, people know where you're going and knowing when you were supposed to get out, then it's a bit of a pain in the ass for those people to come and get you. But if you've stopped close to where you got lost, then it's an easy fix. But
Right, okay.
It can be easily done, especially for someone who doesn't have so much experience. You go off track, you're doing a big poo in the bush, and all of a sudden you've wiped your bum a couple of times, you've turned around, you don't know which way the track was. And it's very easy to panic in those sort of situations. Go, oh, and then go deeper into the bush the wrong way or anything like that. So Baz is again bang on. Rule of thumb is to stay where you are, and either someone in the party you're with will probably come and find you in the end. Hopefully it's not next to your big turd.
All right, I'll let you get back to your serious chat then, lads, and I will catch you all next time.
Cheers,
Thanks very much, Al. Lots of love.
Okay.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. See you later.
See you, Al. Love you.
See ya. Bye.
Thanks again to Al and his new segment. What the heck is this all about?
Yes, good to have Al back. He still features on my favourite episode ever, when you took him up towards Tutuwai.
Yeah, on the Tararuas River.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's take a break. Afterwards, we've got Walk and Talk with Derrick Field, and unfortunately, you were unable to make that interview, weren't you?
I was.
Damn.
Yeah. I look forward to listening to it though.
Okay, well, let's go get a cup of tea, and we'll be back right after the break.
Perfect.
Oh, we've been walking miles, and now we'll take a break. Now the boys have got their boots off, so we'll sit a while. Don't you go away.
Right, welcome back, and now it's time for Walk and Talk. And joining us today is Derrick Field, a true fixture of the Tararua Hills, someone who's had a big hand in how many of us experience the Tararua Ranges, whether we realise it or not. Derrick, it's great to have you on today. How's it going?
Hi, Jerry. This weather's been pretty miserable, so we're not doing a lot on the hills right now. We've been trying to get in there for a few days, but have to keep postponing it.
Right. Where were you going to be heading this weekend?
Oh, well, we had a week trip planned for the Tararua Valley, cutting the tracks from Smiths Creek right through to the Waihini, but 2 weeks now it's been postponed, and next week's not looking very brilliant either.
Oh, right. Have you guys had a lot of rain and...
Just a bit.
Yeah. I guess to kick things off, you've spent a lot of time in the ranges, so I hear. How did you get into tramping in the Tararua Hills, and what were they like way back when?
I had a few mates that, one in particular, Pete Southey, that was keen on the bush, and his family had a long history in the Hutt Valley of working in the bush, and we tramped around the hills and behind Upper Hutt, which at the time were quite a bit different to what they are now, and we progressed from there to the Tararua Valley, of course, where just about everybody from the Hutt Valley did. Gradually went further and further did trips most weekends, and eventually we both ended up being able to own firearms, so we got rifles as well, and then it was hunting trips.
Oh, fantastic.
We basically covered a lot of the Tararuas. Probably by the time I'd left college, I'd been over just about all of it, plus a few trips down the South Island as well.
Wow, living the dream.
Oh, it was a bit different to what it is now.
Yeah.
Some of the tracks were a bit rough, to put it mildly.
Yeah. I think I read in your notes that you sent through that you did the Tararua Peaks to Maungahoka Hut before there was even a ladder, all by yourself at about the age of 15.
Easter time, when you're at school, you could get off a day early, and I used to get into the hills before the tramping parties arrived. And one Easter I picked a trip on my own and went to Alpha and then Kaim and Maungahoka, and I'd heard about the Tararua Peaks, and fortunately it was quite a fine day, but also very cold. The chain was a bit of an experience. It was just a galvanised chain that the tramping clubs, Tararua Tramping Club, I think, had put up quite a few years before. And having never done any abseiling or anything remotely like it, I was terrified. And the chain was quite icy, and I never had gloves, and so I was quite worried about sliding to the bottom, and I learned a lesson to turn up with gloves next time.
Yeah, wow.
And there was no other wires or cables before the chain or after it either, which was a little bit dodgy.
Right. What other stuff have you noticed about the Tararua Ranges that have changed over time?
What I've probably noticed is that there was a lot more road end huts which were built presumably to help with Friday night stays for club trips heading into the hills, like Dobson's and Smiths Creek and Taranekau. The habits of tramping has changed from heading into the first hut for a Friday night and then on to Alpha or wherever. But what's replaced that is probably better tracks that get you further into the hills, like the Smiths Creek track is a bench track.
Yeah, right.
And you can go to Powell on a pretty good track, and Ngāti Whakatū and Field Hut. So getting into the hills is now a lot easier.
Yeah. Are there a lot more people using those tracks to keep them clear and stuff like that as well? Once tracks get well established, they sort of can stay well established?
They're certainly getting more worn, but tracks with mud and well-worn tracks were the Tararuas is pretty notorious for it.
Yeah.
Trips like the Marchant Ridge and some of the muddy places that are there now, those conditions originated a long while back, and bit by bit some of them have been improved.
Yeah.
But there's still plenty of mud to experience.
For sure. And in terms of the huts, I believe that you've had a bit to do with the Forestry Service and DOC along the way. How have you noticed that people are using huts differently or looking after huts maybe more or less? Or
It's a little bit hard to say. I joined the Forest Service in 1966 and was initially in the Ruahine Range, and then I got a transfer down to the Tararuas as a deer culler. And the tramping club huts, they weren't too bad. I mean, some of them were pretty basic, like Alpha and Alloway Dixon and Taranekau, and you experience sort of rats running over you at night and that sort of thing. But that's just the way the huts were built, and
yeah.
So those huts were pretty well looked after by the Forest Service hunters, of course. There was quite a bit of vandalism though around those fringe huts and sort of pretty rough treatment and rubbish and stuff. They're either been removed or they've been replaced. They got knocked about quite a bit. Mountain House was another one that the Wellington Tramping Mountaineering Club eventually removed and replaced with a shelter. But having said that, the time it took to get to Powell now, because of the conditions of the track, some of those huts came redundant and weren't as critical. You've got a whole lot more individual trampers or small groups or non-tramping club parties in the hills now, and so the non-club sort of backcountry community sort of outnumbers the clubs by quite a bit.
Mm. Mm.
And the place has obviously become a lot more popular.
Yeah.
I can recall sort of having crowded huts when I was a kid in the hills, and we've still got crowded huts.
Yeah, I was talking to Brett Gillies last year, who's you may know him as the hut warden at Tocha Flats and the Mangaho Valley, and he said Tocha Flats, particularly around a public holiday, can have 50 people sleeping on the verandas and all sorts around those times.
And that's a good thing to see. I mean, you've got all sorts of family groups and now going into those easier huts, whereas before it was a bit of an ordeal.
Yeah, yeah.
Adi Whakatu would probably be one of the best examples now. That what was a pretty rough tramping track basically. It was okay, but once Doc upgraded it to a walk standard, now you've got just a continuous stream of families going in and out, and that's got to be a good thing.
You mentioned that you worked for the Forestry Service, and then I take it you worked for Doc. What was your role there?
When Doc started, I was in Taupo with the Forest Service, and
Okay.
I'd worked in the Bay of Plenty and down in Canterbury, and prior to that, I applied for the job for the Wairarapa area as what was called the District Conservator, I think. I was lucky enough to get the job, and that took in the lower end of the North Island, Tararua, Rimataka,
Cool.
and Aorangi.
Okay, and you were patrolling all that area?
Yeah, we had quite a good staff at the time that moved over from Lands and Surveys and from Wildlife Service and Forest Service, and so we had quite a few experienced people, and we had the funding levels that we'd had previously pretty well.
Yeah.
I would probably have to say it was just business as usual. We did build a few huts after Doc started. We did start a bit more track upgrading as well. So that's when Gentilani got upgraded, and also up around Tabletop at Field Hut and the Ati Whakatu as well. And we also turned the Mikimak track, a day walk into quite a good day walk as well. And
oh wow, cool.
So business never slowed down at all.
Yeah.
I think we did quite a bit of development in about the first 10 or so years.
I was going to say, you must have spent some time, you mentioned the Rimatakas in that Orongorongo Valley as well.
Yeah, but we had a ranger, Ivan Morrison, who was based at the Catchpool, and they had a team there that looked after the Orongorongo area and the Catchpool, and which was the busiest road end that probably in the North Island.
Oh, wow.
It probably still is. There's a phenomenal amount of people heading there. Holsworth was probably the busiest in Tararua, but once Otaki Forks got developed, that turned into an equally popular place as well.
Yeah, yeah. You're often quite active on the Tararua Facebook forum, and it's often to do with posts and updates to do with your work, the great work you do with a lot of other volunteers at the Greater Wellington Backcountry Network. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the Greater Wellington Backcountry Network, what you guys do, all the awesome work that you've been doing in the Tararua Ranges recently?
Yeah, the Backcountry Network actually started back in about 1989, I think, when the hut fees were introduced by Doc. I was the district conservator here in Masterton at the time, and there was some thought that there wasn't going to be, if fees weren't being paid, and there wasn't going to be funding for huts, and particularly in Tararua, there's a large proportion of the huts were actually built and maintained by clubs.
Right.
And quite a few clubs had also taken over what were ex-Forest Service huts and were maintaining them as well.
Right. And
I felt that if we didn't make enough money through hut fees, what were those clubs going to do? I met with some tramping club representatives from the Wellington clubs. John Tristram and Murray Preslin were two, I think. Mm. I'm not quite sure who the others were, and we agreed to set up a combined group that ended up being called the Tararua Huts Committee, and the whole idea was to pool the hut revenue that came in from the lower North Island and distribute it amongst the huts, regardless of how much those individual huts generated. So it made sure that the lower use huts would still be funded. And there was about 15 clubs were members of that group at the time. And eventually there was enough income from hut fees coming in. Doc agreed, my boss, Dave McKircher, somehow I got him to agree to hand over all the hut fees revenue that came in.
Okay.
Which at the time wasn't much to start with, and he probably thought it wasn't ever going to be.
Yeah.
But it built up to quite a healthy amount, actually. So our program sort of each year, all the huts that needed money, the funding was there. And we built 3 quite key huts along with that. Tarn Ridge, Waitawaiwai and Mangahau Flats.
Oh, wow.
Were all major huts.
Okay.
And we did a few upgradings of Jumbo and Power Hut and Tutawai and Totra Flats as well.
Yeah.
So that's how the group got started, and it continued on until I retired in 2007, and a bit later on I got into hut maintenance again. Ended up as chair of that committee.
Right.
I did a review mainly because the group was struggling. Some clubs were struggling to get the interest in the clubs to do work on their huts.
Yeah.
I felt that the group was a little bit exclusive in that it was only representatives of clubs who had huts.
Yeah.
And the wider community weren't part of it. So we opened up the group to anyone who had an interest in the backcountry. And right now we've got about 330 members.
Yeah.
About 280 of them have indicated that they would volunteer.
Right.
Because we could see there's a lot more potential volunteers out there than existed in the clubs. And a few of the clubs...
That's right.
Like all a lot of clubs, they're getting older. And the younger people aren't necessarily available.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's how we turned the group around, I suppose, and we included track maintenance as well as huts in our mandate, and got a new MOU with Doc,
right,
who were quite supportive and gave us basically the authority to operate under the MOU, do our own health and safety planning. We do provide an annual plan to them and do reporting, but they let us get on with it. About 4 years we started the track program. We've done a few hut upgrades since then, and a couple of key ones at Alpha and Dorset Ridge, Tutawai Hut. Dorset Ridge was quite a major project.
Yeah.
And the track programs has grown a little bit, and that more of us have become more experienced, and we've got more qualified people to use the machinery.
Right.
So far, we've done about 600 kilometres of track maintenance.
Oh, wow.
And there's about 540 kilometres of tramping track in the 3 forest parks, and we've been working through that and if you like, have been dealing with all the deferred maintenance. So it's been quite hard going, to put it mildly. And we're also now at the stage where we're doing repeat maintenance of some tracks. So we're doing both. And once we've cleaned up the deferred maintenance, then life will become a bit easier. We'll probably do about 200k this 12 months we're in now.
Wow.
We did close to that. We did about 100 kilometres last year and quite a bit of hut work. The previous year, I think we did about 200 kilometres. But eventually the program will reduce down to probably 140 to 150 kilometres a year.
Okay.
And it'll be a lot quicker.
Yeah.
And that's what we've found with the repeat trips. We're probably doing the work in half or 2/3 of the time of what it was taking initially.
With the volunteers that you guys have, do you still keep a strong link with the clubs who would still like to do maintenance on the huts that they sort of have a role in?
Oh yeah. There's, I think, 10 clubs still maintain huts in Tararua, and that includes huts that they've got management agreements with that were previously dock huts.
Right.
And there's also another volunteer group, the ex-NZFS. They look after quite a bit of the old forestry huts as well.
Yeah.
Quite a few of our volunteers are club members. 10 clubs are still members, like they're group members of our organisation.
Right. So it's a bit of both.
Along with all the individual members.
Yeah, cool. Oh, very interesting. And it looks like you guys do a huge amount of work, obviously, lots of hundreds of kilometres of track maintenance and looking after the huts. I did see around Christmas time you guys were up on Dorset with Ridge and Maungahoka, giving them a bit of a birthday, those huts there.
Yeah, Maungahoka hadn't been visited for quite a while actually, and I've been quite keen to get a team up there and do quite a few minor repairs and just give it a good clean. And coincidentally, it was a part of the Love Our Huts exercise as well that FMC is running.
Yeah. I was just wondering, maybe a final thought from you. What do you think trampers, both experienced and newer to tramping, should keep in mind when it comes to using huts, tracks, and thinking about leaving it all in a better space than what they came to be in?
Yeah, we've given quite a bit of thought to this actually, and what we decided about a year ago was to introduce providing cleaning materials at huts so that hut users could do their bit. Because what was happening is a lot of huts weren't being visited by the groups that were managing them, and you could see a lot of deterioration happening, and in fact several huts have got to the stage of near replacement simply because minor repairs were never dealt to.
Right.
Mould and lichen and what have you and dampness have taken over, and leakage in huts has ended up with some huts being structurally damaged. When we did work on Dorset Ridge, you could see that the ply on the inside was warped through water damage, and a bit of the framework had to be replaced.
Okay.
And that actually sort of, if it was left, the final result, if it's never dealt to, the hut would end up being unusable.
Right.
You quite often saw mattresses that were just unusable because of mould, and there'll be black mould on them, and it's simply because no one's ever cleaned them. And
yeah, totally.
But in fairness, there wasn't cleaning materials in huts, and there wasn't a sort of an expectation that hut users would do that.
Yeah.
We did a trial for the best part of a year just with a few huts of supplying them with cleaning materials, and it appears that it worked, and as far as we can tell, some of those huts are in better condition now, and the materials are being used. So out of the 50-odd huts in our area, there's only about 15 or 10 left that need buckets of cleaning materials delivered.
Right. Ah, fantastic.
We've had quite a bit of support from clubs and individuals carrying orange Mitre 10 buckets into the hills.
Right.
One group carried a couple of buckets through the Tararua Range recently, and Doc have dropped them off for us and during their flying. So we've virtually got nearly all of the huts stocked with cleaning gear, and the reports I'm getting back is that huts are looking better and the cleaning materials are being used. So
fantastic.
This is going to be a very long-term thing, and we have to figure out a way to keep huts topped up.
Yeah.
as plant chemical and what have you gets used. So, but we do have a lot of support from the clubs who have helped raise money for biomaterials and carting buckets into the bush, into the huts for us. So that's been really positive.
Yeah.
And but this is not a short-term thing. It's forever.
Can anyone join the Greater Wellington Backcountry Network?
Oh, yeah, definitely. There's no membership fee.
Yeah.
It's strictly an online group. We try to keep in touch with the group and let them know what's happening. There's also quite a big volunteer element.
Yeah.
Not everyone can just go out and take time off work or something, or the family and disappear in the bush. But we do manage to get teams available most of the time. For example, we did 5,000 hours of volunteer work last year.
Wow.
And this year we've already done over 100 kilometres of tracks in the first 6 months.
Yeah.
So we are getting the volunteers out there, but you don't only have to volunteer to become a member. I like that having the group and that it's part of the backcountry community that we can communicate with quite readily with what's happening, and if they've got queries about anything, all they can do is ask, and so that's working reasonably well, I think.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, definitely we encourage anyone to join us
and donate. Yeah, look, no, thank you so much for coming on the show today, Derrick, and telling us a bit about your history, the history of some of the huts and tracks, and obviously the what is now the Greater Wellington Backcountry Network. And hopefully, I'll see you in the hills sometime.
You could do, yeah.
Fantastic.
We'll have a spare pitchfork for clearing tracks if we see you.
Sure thing.
Okay, Jerry.
Okay, thanks again to Derrick Field. What a legend. I don't know if I've told you, Baz, but out of everyone that I've at least talked to, they've said you've got to hit up Derrick. He's one of the most well-known, almost, I hope I don't say this wrong, but like a kaumatua of the Tararua Ranges. He's the boss. He's awesome. And I must admit, that was, I think, one of the people who were at the Apex who I wanted to interview.
And thanks a lot to Derrick as well. I know he does a heap of volunteering himself and track maintenance, but he also is a key facilitator in getting other people in there volunteering. So
the GWBN are fantastic. So we'll put a link in that for the GWBN in the show notes, I think.
Yeah, legends. And I think that obviously they're always looking for contributors if that's something you can do. So yeah. Cool.
One last housekeeping announcement. People have probably been wondering about when the hell are we going to mention the photo competition? It's closed.
Yeah.
Did I win? We got a heap of submissions in the end. Even Good will put one in.
He sure did.
Actually, you and I put one in too. We didn't want to be left out.
Yeah.
But we can't win.
We went from having no submissions to plenty of submissions, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And we will be announcing the winner on our next Scroggin
hopefully
episode
in a couple of weeks from when this is released.
Yeah.
On our next episode of Scroggin, we'll have Ash Rocket, our photo connoisseur and judge of the competition. He'll be announcing the winners, and we'll get in touch.
Amazing. I look forward to it, and I look forward to seeing the winning photo. And feel free to check out Ash Rocket's portfolio because it's epic.
Yeah, it's epic.
He knows how to take a photo.
That's right. On that segment of Scroggin as well, you're going to do Kent's Cooking Corner, aren't you? Which is going to cover off a little bit of what we did on our tramp.
Yes. I have 2 very successful homemade dehydrate meals and a third snack.
We'll try and have that out in a more timely manner this time. Apologies again to listeners who have been hanging out for the next episode. We've just been feeling like life has been getting on top of us both. Plus, we decided to go tramping. We don't normally go tramping anymore. Bugger that. We just like to talk about it. I jest. But we probably better wrap this up, Baz. We've been going a wee while.
Yeah. Time to go to bed.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, thank you, listeners, again. Get in touch if you've got any feedback, if you've got any ideas, or you want to tell a story. We're always happy to accommodate. And just if you are going out into the hills, especially the Tararua Ranges, be safe. Note your trip intentions, carry your beacon, read the weather, and just have a fantastic time.
Kia ora, Jerry. It was an absolute pleasure getting into the hills with you again. And amazing for us to actually do what we talk about on here. So looking forward to the next one.
Awesome, Baz. Have a good one, man.
Cool.
Hikona.
Kia kite.